So this brief lecture is meant to give you some ideas for giving your research paper a title. So what I have here on this screen are some sample titles from past essays, and some of them are really good, some of them are not so good. And so I'm going to go through each one and talk to you about the positives and negatives and strategies that you can use to make your title effective. So the very first one talks about it's not your grandfather's media, why the fairness doctrine should not be brought back. So the strategy that this student is using is to give their argument, their thesis statement, right in the title. So I don't know what the fairness doctrine is necessarily, but I know that if I read this paper, I will learn what it is, and I know that the author's argument is against the fairness doctrine. And so the beginning part where it says it's not your grandfather's media, the fairness doctrine probably has something to do with media, and it's probably old-fashioned or outdated, which is why it's using the word grandfather. So that's one strategy. Use something clever at the beginning to hook your reader, and then say, here's my topic and here's what I think about it. Okay, so that's one strategy. The second one, and I think that's an effective strategy. Now the second one is also effective. So free roaming horses, symbol of the West or invasive pest. So this one I think is effective because the strategy is not to give you the answer in the title. It asks a question which makes the reader curious and makes the reader want to find the answer by reading the paper. So it sets up the issue for the reader that they can then read to find the answer. And this one is also interesting because it has some assonance, if you remember from early in the semester. It has assonance and rhyme. So symbol of the West or invasive pest. So it has a really nice rhythm and sound and feel to it, which again makes it catchy and makes you want to read it. Now the next one, number 3, identity and eating disorders. So this is the topic of the paper, but we don't get any sense of what is the issue, maybe what is the author arguing about it, or even just asking a question of what the issue is or giving us a little bit more detail into what about identity and eating disorders are we talking about. And so it's just not specific enough. And so this one I would consider to be not effective. The fourth bullet point, again, takes the strategy of giving the thesis or the main argument right in the title. So the subject is comprehensive sex education, and the argument is that it's a good thing. It informs and not demoralizes the students who receive it. So this one I would say would be also effective in that sense. The next one, the influence that parents have on their children. This is just way too vague, way too broad. What kind of influence are we talking about? Is it a positive influence, a negative influence? What kind of effect are we talking about, like psychologically, physically? It's just very vague and it's not specific enough. So again, this is a start, but it's not fully effective as it could be. The next one, deceptions associated with online dating. Again, very similar to the one before, we get a really good sense of the topic, but it's missing sort of a hook, and it's also missing an argument or even a sense of the issue, okay? And then the final one, the modern mobile obsession, are cell phones helping us or crippling society? And so this one takes the same strategy as bullet point number 2, the second example, where it says, here's the issue, we're over-reliant on our cell phones, and then is this a good thing or a bad thing? And if you want to know the answer, you have to read the paper. So these are just some strategies, and again, these are from past papers, and so please make sure that you think carefully about how you want to draw your reader in, hook your reader in, and make them want to read your paper.